Hello, fourth grade parents. This is Mr. Lancaster, the fourth part of the fourth grade team. We're going to go over the standards for the first quarter. So, for our reading and foundational standards, students will create documents in print and cursive that are easy for others to read. And they want to use what they know about letter-sound relationships to read words and decode multisyllabic words by breaking the words into syllables, such as elephant, elephant. So breaking it down into the many parts of the syllables, and by using their knowledge of roots and affixes to break the word into known parts. Students use these skills in context and also in isolation for more practice. So for our reading skills continued, we have our fluency. And students will read grade level text smoothly and with accuracy so that they understand the text. They will be able to read and understand a variety of texts with purpose. Some purpose are to learn new information or for entertainment, etc. And to read stories, poems, and other texts correctly, maintaining a suitable rate, and uses their voice to show expression. That's something that we have to work with a lot. Is some kids are very good at showing expression, some are not, and vice versa. Some kids are good at showing expression, but they're not able to read as fluently. So we're just trying to fill in the holes and make them an all-around better reader. So moving on with our reading skills. So students find details and examples from text to support their explanations of what the text clearly states, as well as inferences they make from the text. This is really big in our grade. We are always constantly trying to make sure these students are proving their answers to us. So many times students will say, well, I found the answer in the text. And I say, where? And they're like, well, I'm not sure. And we're trying to get them either career ready or college ready to let them know that, you have to cite your sources and you have to know where you get your information. And it shows that you know how to prove your answer that you're telling me. Students have a tough time with this one, and we really try and drill it into them almost the whole year. We practice it the whole year, but it's something that we have to keep on them the whole year. So students studied the text to understand the meaning of words and phrases. And then the third one, for fiction text, students will describe characters, settings, or events in a story. Moving on. So figurative language, such as raining cats and dogs, or he is as tall as a giraffe, so things like that. Or he is hotter than lead, or lava, sorry. So students will show their understanding of figurative language, similes, metaphors, idioms, adages, and proverbs. Mostly we focus on similes, metaphors, and idioms, and not so much adages and proverbs. We will hit on it, but we try and teach them the definitions specifically of the first three. And then, of course, there's always examples of these two. So if you would like to read over those on your own time, pause the video, but I'm going to keep going. So writing. So students will write informative text about a topic. They can use a graphic organizer to plan writing on a topic. We're trying to get strategies going, so students, they struggle with a lot, and I think all writers do. In every grade, they struggle with, how do I get this started? What's my beginning, my middle, my end? Who are the characters? How are we going to get this whole thing going? And for it to run smoothly as a fluent writer. And also, whether it's making sense or not jumping any spots. If you're creating a story or retelling a story. And so students will introduce a topic and give facts, definitions, and details organized in paragraphs. They're going to use transition words and phrases to connect ideas. So first, next, last, and on the other hand, and so on. And they're going to use content-specific vocab to inform or explain their topic. We're also going to be using this in science and social studies, having their vocabulary go from all subjects into this, and provide a concluding statement and write with support from adults, peers, and revise and edit. So writing with technology. something we're doing a lot right now. Students will use digital tools and resources to research a topic and compose and publish writing. They use these tools and resources to collaborate with peers. Students will use effective word processing skills. So math, data, and graph. We're on to math now. So with our data and graphs, students will collect, create, and use data with whole numbers 0 and higher. We've gone up to the millions before, so we just put 0 and higher here. We're going to collect data by asking a question. So of course, whenever we're reading any question, you need to know what data is being presented. So many times students get so mixed up between, okay, well, they want to convert it from feet to yard or feet to inches, or it's in millimeters or meters, and then yada yada, this and that, and then they can do all the math right, but then they just didn't label it correctly. So we always want to know, what is it asking for us? And we create graphs and data with it and understand the data using frequency tables, scaled bar graphs, and line plots. So moving on. So addition and subtraction, of course. So we'll read and write multi-digit whole numbers up to and including 100,000 using numbers, number names, and expanded form. So this is the 3 forms here. And they can compare two-digit numbers using greater than, less than, or equal to. Students get these mixed up a lot, but pretty straightforward. It's just one of those things you have to remember. I think the biggest thing that we struggle with in 4th grade from all the teachers, what we always are saying all year, and it's been a struggle all year, is that our students who know their multiplication tables shine, and they're blowing through all this stuff I wouldn't say they do everything easy. I'm just saying it gives them such a big leg up that it's just easy for them if they know their multiplication tables. And it can be the difference between doing something for 5 minutes or doing it for 20 minutes or maybe even 30 minutes. I've seen it like that. So we really, really, really try to have them know their multiplication tables. If there's one thing parents can help us out with, is that the students know their multiplication tables like they know the back of their hand. All right, so area and perimeter. So students are going to solve problems with area and perimeter. So this is an example. You can read it on your own time, but we use different strategies for this, like length times width or using the area models and things like that. Okay, so our math multiplicative comparisons, these are just showing, these are kind of tricky, and they're basically they're basically just multiplying, but you're comparing something. So multiply or divide to solve word problems involving multiplicative comparisons using models and equations with a symbol for the unknown number. An example of a multiplicative comparison is, Sally is 5 years old and her mom is 8 times older. How old is Sally's mom? And a possible response is 5 times 8 equals the number, or the mom, M for mom. And we have a visual example here. Okay. So we have 2 more slides. So factors and multiples. So students will find all factor pairs for whole numbers up to 50 and will determine if the number is prime or composite. Prime meaning it can only be multiplied by 1 in itself, such as 2, 3, 5, 7, 13. And then numbers that are composite, numbers that can be multiplied by something, by many different numbers to get that number. So, for example, you can get 4 with 4 times 1, but also 2 times 2, or 8 with 2 times 4, or 8 times 1, or 16 with 8 times 2, or 4 times 4, and like that. This is one that lots of students forget real easy. It's just it can be easily forgotten. So 2-step word problems. So this is again, this is when students really need to know their reading, and if they're behind in reading, it can really show that they can be a fantastic math student, but then their reading isn't where it needs to be. It might be 2nd, 3rd grade, or even lower level 4th grade. If they're exceeding reading, then it really shows in these math word problems, because they're really understanding the 2-step word problems, and they're not getting mixed up on the vocabulary and the the structure of it and how it's organized. We all know sometimes that the questions are organized in a way where it almost seems like they're trying to get us, but that's not always the case. Sometimes it's just what we're not used to. So we're going to be using estimations, strategies to see if the answer makes sense. We write equations and letter standing for an unknown quantity, so sort of like algebra, and students will build on their own understanding of adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing to solve word problems using strategies. I hope all this made sense to you, and please feel free to stop, to pause the video and go back and look at whatever you need to. And yeah, thank you. You have a good one.